Hello, everyone. I'm Whitney Ortiz, host of the Whole Health series. I am thrilled Fiona Macaulay is here with us. She's going to share her wisdom and guidance as we're entering a new era that calls for a unique kind of leadership. Fiona is a serial social entrepreneur, educator, and field builder who's committed to helping people achieve their potential. She's been recognized among the top 1% of US female business owners. She is a keynote and TEDx speaker who's been featured in the New York Times, and she writes a monthly column on leadership for Inc.com. Fiona founded WILD, the Women Innovators and Leaders Development Network, to support women social innovators to scale their impact and thrive. She's also a professor of entrepreneurship at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business, where she serves as an entrepreneur in residence. It's an honor to have you here, Fiona. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thanks, Whitney. I'm so happy to be here with you and your community.
At this time, when so much has been changing and many women have been reconsidering their careers while also hearing a call to do something new, put a new idea out there, or stand up and out more boldly and visibly about something that they believe in. What advice do you have for them?
Whitney, it is true that every big vision begins with a series of small steps. And I hope that gives everyone who may be thinking about making a bold move heart, because sometimes our ambition and the view we have about our place in the world, what it can be, how we want it to be different from where we are now, can feel daunting. But if we realize that it's a series of small steps, that's what it takes to get there, it can make it easier to start moving out of the gate.
No, yes. And what do you believe in this moment is so important in terms of the leadership and entrepreneurship that's very unique to women and that women can really draw upon nowadays when they create or innovate, so they don't become drained in the process, as we're speaking about this whole health aspect of ourselves?
Yeah, that is such a good question, Whitney. So what gets in the way of pursuing our bold visions? I would offer it's often one or a combination of these three things: fear, lack of knowledge, and just generally kind of running out of steam or motivation as other things come onto our plates, or we come up against roadblocks that can be hard to overcome. And the good news for women leaders, is that the solution to many of these things have to do with your network. Women are great networkers. We're very good at being curious and asking questions and listening to others. We're open to others' experiences. We can reach out. And my goodness, we are resilient, if nothing else. When I talk about network, I'm talking about two very distinct kinds of networks. I'm talking about network of support. So these are people who have your back, who you're honest with, who are there with you to celebrate the wins and also pick you up from the lows. And then we have our network of influence. These are often more formal relationships, people who are in your industry or perhaps working in the industry that you're seeking to get into. They could be contacts at financial institutions who are going to be instrumental, one-off mentors and advisors. And we have an opportunity to intentionally build both of these networks, networks of support and networks of influence. And if you look back at the successes you've had to date, you can probably pinpoint key coffees you may have had with people, a piece of advice, somebody opening a door for you. And so these are the kinds of opportunities that you want to harness for yourself in your networks of influence. And whether you're a great networker who's been out there building your network for a long time, or if it's something that you've been shyer about, you have an opportunity to be even more intentional about the network that you're building. Many of us will network within communities and spheres that we're already connected to. If we're looking to launch a new venture or social venture or initiative, we often need to be in new networks. So this is where the intentionality of thinking, what are the kinds of people, what is the knowledge that I'm after, can really benefit us by then giving us the information about where I need to more intentionally build that network of influence. And of course, the network of support is, having gal pals who you can commiserate with, or as I mentioned, celebrate with. Sometimes it can be people, sometimes it can be people in our neighborhood, it can be colleagues or former colleagues. But that network of support, as you know from your experience, is also very critical.
Yes, and I hear you in terms of how it can help us release that fear of failing as well, and to really get into that growth mindset, which is a whole big part of our well-being as we are creating and innovating and putting out ourselves in ways in the world that invite vulnerability, right? And so how do you support those who are at various stages of life, coming from the experience of being a multifaceted entrepreneur yourself, with that growth mindset especially?
That's really. Um, well, definitely, I think it helps to be a curious person. It helps to become comfortable with failure. The reality is, every vision that an entrepreneur has for where they want their business, or if they're a social change maker, the kind of change they want to see in the world, the path to get there is never going to be what we anticipate. Exactly what we offer is never going to end up being precisely what our stakeholders or customers are interested in. The biggest, boldest part of that vision may remain the same. Often that DNA of our vision remains the same, but the how to get it, exactly, who we work with to get it, that inevitably changes. Going into a new venture knowing that many of your assumptions are wrong means that when they are proven wrong, and when you have a series of small failures, you don't need to be disappointed by that. You're like, you know what? I'm learning, and I am moving forward. And the evidence of that is that these small experiments that I'm taking, these actions that I'm taking and learning from, that are sometimes have different results than I anticipated, I am learning, which means that you are having the classic entrepreneurial experience of failing forward. And this is where that resilience piece comes in. If something has not turned out as you had expected, but you can say, I have learned from this, and this is what I'm going to do differently, that is a moment to pat yourself on the back and celebrate and be like, I am moving forward. And this also connects to that point we were talking about a moment ago about the importance of your networks, because as much as failing forward is part of the entrepreneurial process, of course, we want to shorten our learning curves as much as possible. We want to have those key introductions that can get us into the door to make an important sale, or to be able to manufacture something more quickly, or solve a number of problems. So embracing failure, absolutely, that is part of the process. Looking for ways to shortcut the learning curve and how to truncate all the new things we're having to learn, also very important.
Yes, and at this time when the world is changing so much and seemingly asking for this compassionate, collaborative leadership, that many women are really looking forward to putting themselves out more and showing the world. You're really saying it is so welcomed, and to really reach out and share and say, I have this idea. How do you recommend in terms of that collaborative approach, and how you have woven that into the work that you have done over the years and the various aspects of your work?
I have two different things I wanted to share on that. Firstly, never ask anybody what they think about your business idea. That, you know why? For two reasons. One is, we often want to please the person we're talking to. So people might just say, like, they love your business idea, they would buy their product or your service, having no intention to do so. They're just wanting to, indicate that they're supportive of you. The second thing is, sometimes people will poo-poo a business idea when they have no knowledge that really positions them to be the expert. If someone poo-poos your idea, it may be to say, yeah, they're not your customer, but they may not really know your customer or your stakeholder. I always remember that when I was in the process of launching my first company, I was in my mid-20s, and I had an introduction to a business professor at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. And I very proudly, went down there on a winter day and kind of showed him the product that I was considering basing my building off of, my business off of. And he said, Fiona, don't pursue this. It would be a huge mistake. This business is going to be a failure. So that was hard to hear, but in my gut, I also felt like, no, I had already seen concrete signals how effective this product was and that it really did have legs. And then I went on to build a business based on that product that did business in over 50 countries. I did over $30 million in sales. I became named one of the top 1% of women entrepreneurs in America. And the thing is that I was asking someone who was a supposed expert their opinion on my business, but while he may have had expertise in many areas of business, he was not the customer for this business. And actually, he would have better served me by asking kind of a series of questions or offering me information for me to think about how I could move forward and test out the assumptions that I had about that different business. The second thing I also wanted to say, Whitney, and this kind of connects to that piece about running out of steam, right? We run out of steam for a lot of reasons, like our plates are full with other things, we have commitments to others, we're supporting others. And one of the most important things, I think, for any of us who are doing something new, certainly for starting a business, I think it also applies to things like writing a book or making a career change, and that is having an accountability partner. I'm going to quote a mentor of mine named Marshall Goldsmith, where he says that having an accountability partner is costs you nothing and can it help you get better at almost anything you do. And I'm happy to share a free article kind of on the how-tos of this process, Whitney. But in a nutshell, what it means is that, for example, if you and I, Whitney, were accountability partners, I would tell you what it is that I was setting out to achieve, and I would write a series of 3, 4, 5, 10 questions that I want you to ask me either every day or every week. Can be on the phone, can be over email. I'm going to write questions that I want you to ask me, like, what did you do today to expand your network of influence? What achievement did you have today that you can celebrate? And what is amazing about being asked these kinds of questions is just knowing you're going to be asked them motivates us to get things done so we can kind of report positively on them. And they serve to remind us about the balls that we want to be keeping our eye on. And I just, it's not coaching, it's not consulting, but it is this kind of peer accountability. And I would just really invite this community that you've brought together, Whitney, to consider trying it out.
That's a great tool. And also in terms of weaving into it one's well-being. It's like, what have you done to take care of yourself today? And weaving that into the
Yes,
leadership and the accountability with the business progress so that you're not burning out while trying to achieve all of the goals that you set. Because so many of us on this call are very driven, very wanting to always achieve. And those who are in this time of transition, where so much in their personal and professional lives have changed and reconsidering, it's like, okay, now I have all these things to do because I see it as a need and it's my time, releasing that fear. But it's so important to have that
100%.
kind of accountability partnership. It's such an important point.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I love what you're saying about building in the wellness. In fact, that was something that I did at the start of COVID was in my accountability partner questions was asking, what I had done outside, what exercise I had done outside that day. And that immediately prompted me to make sure I was walking or running or walk running or, whatever it was every day because I knew I was going to be reporting on that. And even if I didn't do an hour every day, it definitely ensured that I got outside for a part of an hour during the workday that I probably would not otherwise have done. So I
And
love
you
that
do a
you're bringing that up.
magnificent job of giving others the permission to do that through your work, having walking and talking meetings, really encouraging the other women who are in your network and within your organizations to say, take care of yourself as you are creating this culture of well-being throughout a movement of women who are stepping up into leadership. So it really takes people like you sometimes to say it's not only okay, it's actually critical for your success as a woman leader these days. So I really
Yeah,
acknowledge you for
absolutely.
that and thank you.
Oh, thanks, Whitney. Well, I appreciate it. I feel like we are both on that journey together. And hearing you say that also reminds me that Earlier in my career, I was really bad at asking for help. I felt like I always had to come across as being completely buttoned up and buttoned down, and I had the answers to everything. Whereas now, fast forward 25 years, and kind of on my third social venture, and I am asking for help all the time. And by asking for help, it has led me to deepen relationships with people. It has made me more efficient and effective at what I do faster, hands down. So, of course, there is a balance there. There are times when we need to ensure that we're projecting confidence and capability, and others when we can let our hair down more, which kind of also speaks to our networks of support and our networks of influence. However, I do would love to invite this audience to think about, what are the 1 to 2 most important priorities in front of you right now, and who are the 1 to 2 people that you could ask for help that would ensure that you get to your destination faster, and enjoy the ride more?
Hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. And how can people engage with you further, Fiona, and the various aspects of your work?
Oh, thank you. One of the most important initiative that WILD leads is the Women in Global Development Leadership Forum. So this is an initiative where we are supporting women in the global development sector to become even stronger leaders and also build their capacity and the capacities of their companies, not-for-profits, for-profits, government, academic, to have cultures of inclusive leadership where they are inviting all members of their staff, all of their partners, to be able to assume the leadership opportunities that they want and are able to. So this initiative to advance women's leadership, to advance equity, diversity, and inclusion is very much like a big tent movement. We invite women and men from all around the world to be part of it and to join the WILD network. We have an annual forum coming up May 5th in 2021. And this is a great place to deepen your leadership skills, benchmark. If you don't want to wait till May, we have some leadership courses being offered. A leadership course for new and experienced managers on how to be an even stronger leader in your management role. And we're also going to be launching a cohort for women of color, so women of color advancing their careers in the global development sector, and also have an offering about becoming an even stronger ally in the work that you do. And if you're interested in finding out about those, I invite you to go to thewildnetwork.org. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, so please connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn. I regularly put out articles that are serving women leaders in the global development sector as well as women entrepreneurs. And I always strive to offer very concrete and tangible learning so that people can pick up information from those pieces and really apply them right away to their own lives.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for all your tremendous contributions and always generous offerings of support and collaboration for other women. Thank you for all you do.
Thanks so much, Whitney. I'm so happy to be part of your community.